All right, we're going to have a little guided tour of the basement of capitalism here. This is one of those banks that was not too big to fail, didn't receive any government bailout, and so we are down here where the defaulters were processed. As you can see, this was very hurriedly abandoned. The filing cabinets were still left behind before the feds could get here. But this was the processing center for defaulters. And we'll proceed back through here. There was a stairwell going up to the main lobby. Over here is the vault area, the main vault. All these files, all these people's lives just boxed away and then forgotten. And scramble to avoid the feds. Just left deposited down here with the Christmas decor. We'll come back to that in a little bit. Here is another administrative area. Again, abandoned files, abandoned case boxes. Through here is the detention facility for, or I should rather say the holding area for defaulters. Probably can't see much of it here. This goes around back to the other side. I see most of the shackles and chains and rivets were taken down before federal inspectors got here, so there's very little evidence left, maybe some stray bloodstains or two. But this is where defaulters would be held while their cases were pending and being processed in the outer center. Over this way, this is where the guards were stationed. Okay, I see everything's been taken out of here too. A little vault area here coming down from the main lobby of the bank. Okay, coming out of the guard room, coming back into the holding area again. Turn this off. Come back out from here. We're back out here to the main vault area. Once again, all these abandoned files, cases. You can see how quick they were out of here. I mean, they just looted the vault and ran. Okay, back through here. Another file area. Back to the holding area for defaulters. Here's one of the original safes in this building. As you can see, it was blown open at one time. You probably can't see anything there, but anyway, it looks like some bullet holes in the walls from years ago. And here we are to the main file area. I mean, look at all these people. All these cases that seem so important just abandoned down here. This was the the processing room here, where the defaulters would be brought to perhaps renegotiate their mortgages, their loans, whatever. This too has been pretty well stripped. And back down this way. Here's some footsteps above. It could be a ghost or two of a defaulter's past. No telling. Stairwell. You can barely see it. This comes from the first floor. Mostly the guards would be coming down here. Occasionally they would bring defaulters down here blindfolded, but mostly they would be coming from this area here. There is an elevator You can't get in there, it's locked, but there is an elevator on the other side of this door, and this would be the main reception area for defaulters. They would be brought down, usually in blindfolded, sometimes in cuffs, down this elevator and processed down here, okay? And then taken back to the holding area. We'll come through here. This looks like another filing area, storage area in here. Makes a U. We're back out to the main vault area. Okay. Now we're back here into the main administrative office. What's left of it? What was inside these files? Nothing. I mean, they just ran. Okay, this is once more part of the holding area. The power's off, but you can see this comes back around again. Back into the holding area. Again, I don't see any sign of any of the instruments that they used here to keep these people in detention while their cases were processing. We'll move on here. When they would have problems renegotiating a loan or a mortgage, and the cases were going to be terminated, they would be brought down here into the quality assurance room. Okay? And we can see that this has also been pretty well stripped. A lot of the instruments and machines that were used have been carted off. However, there's still some evidence down here, okay? For instance, this looks like an artesian well. To my understanding, it was filled with carbolic acid. And when, see a little bit of it down here maybe. It has some residues. When the cases were to be terminated, the defaulters were brought down here. What was left of them was dipped in here. The skeletal remains were taken out and then placed over here in this crematoria for disposal. And you can see up here this chute. This goes to the drop door in the alley behind the building, and defaulters who had been processed at various branch locations were dumped down here, down this chute, where they would be collected and disposed of in this, I guess it's an oven. I don't know who made it, Siemens maybe. All right, coming down over here. This goes back to the holding area. Also a toilet, I guess. This goes back to the holding area in here. This is getting too dark, but this just makes a U and comes back. This is where the defaulters would be brought down from the holding area through here, bypassing the areas that we had gone through. All right. But this is what happened to those unlucky enough to be dropped down the chute of the banking system here. As I said, this was one of the facilities that was just not quite important enough to save. All right. And that pretty much has it. There's not too much left to see, just some residues. The pain and suffering that must have been down here is probably too incalculable to even imagine. Just part of the holding area here. Again, it's been stripped. No chain, shackles, rivets, none of the stuff was allowed to remain. This building, by the way, is probably 125 years old. It's undergirded by some of the oldest structural steel left in the world. as it was constructed right after the development of the Bessemer process. So the steel girders here are older than the Eiffel Tower. And you can see not much evidence left. One last thing. This video is getting a little long. A little bit of graffiti that has been covered up. I can barely see it out. I fight for what's right. I fight for what's white. White power. Probably written by one of the guards at some time. Well, all right. This concludes our tour of the basement of capitalism. And as always, thank you for choosing YouTube as your form of communication.